Bring your palms together. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. My homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let's pay our respect to our teacher, Pinat Loku Swamin Wahanse. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dear meditators, now we have covered almost all the 4 foundations of mindfulness teachings. There are few to cover, and that the 4 noble truths. So the 4 foundation of mindfulness is the exact way, ekaino ayam bhikkhave maggo, sattana visuddhya, which allows you to purify yourself. Sattana visuddhya, soka paridhavana samatikkamaya. That the sadness and then the crying and that lamentation, to overcome from that, this is the exact way. And dukkha dommanasanang attangama, again then the physical and mental sufferings, to overcome from mental and physical suffering, this is the exact way. And not only that, to gain knowledge, that they possess some special knowledge, and also to enlightenment, this is the exact way. So in here, we learn that these teachings contain both samatha and vipassana, that which allows you to improve your focused attention and calm yourself, and using that calmness and focused attention to understand the reality. Reality means the rising and the falling, or the impermanence of this existence. So with this both allows us to liberate ourselves from free from the sufferings, or the let go all the egos. So these teachings are for that. There are 9 qualities mentioned in Buddhas. When we pay respect to Buddha, one is the name called Buddha. Not only the Buddha, we say the other names also. One definition for the Buddha means he had a knowledge, he had an ability to teach his teachings clearly, like to understand everyone, easy to not from one way, he can teach in many ways. So therefore these teachings are helpful not only to people who have good education, but some people, they have not that sort of have had that good education. They all able to understand these teachings because of his amazing ways of teaching. Sometimes people come to see the Buddha not like you to coming to a meditation program to argue, and sometimes came to show their anger. So, but they ended up understanding the reality because of his ability. So there was a very interesting thing happened back then. So in a house, the wife used to learn and practice the teachings of the Buddha. So the husband is not used to. So husband followed another practice, and one day he invited his all of friends to a lunch. So they throwing a party, maybe they wanted to hang around with the others. So wife prepared a delicious lunch for everyone. So while she's bringing one dish, she was about to fall by accident. So we all know that, right? Sometimes something suddenly happens that the words which we used to say comes more often. You may say very nice words, but there may be people who may say the words we can say. Especially as a monk, of course, I can't say those words, right? Just arising. So there is no way to control. So she was about to fall, and she just said that what we just chanted in the beginning, Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. So all the other friends looking at her open mouth, what is she saying? Is she, are you secretly following something else? So likewise, so the husband was so embarrassed and angry towards the Buddha. So he, with that anger, the same day evening, came to see the Buddha and not to meditate, but of course to teach something to the Buddha. So he came and started to yell, keep on yelling. Because of you, I was embarrassed, and likewise keep on yelling. So Buddha practice this understanding of the six sense faculties. These problems belong to six sense faculties that, and not ourselves, because if there is ear, there is sound. Because of ear and sound, the sanyojana, the fetters arising, and when it's not there, it's falling. He have understood this, and he has the liberated mind from the six sense faculties. He just with slight smile, not to feel that, not to criticize or feel like the other person inferior, so not such a thing, with pleasant and same mind, just was there. Then, you know that someone, usually when someone blame or criticize or complain, they feel kind of a slight relax, because they feel like, okay, I took my revenge. So after sometimes when Buddha feels like, okay, now this person may have time, a good, like his mind is ready to listen. So Buddha just without saying anything ask, okay, let me ask a question from you. So you offered a delicious lunch, and so think that you prepared a delicious lunch and your friends did not accept that, and they just runs away. They just go back without having your lunch. Then what do you do? With anger, he said, if they don't eat, I will eat by myself. And we don't mind that. So Buddha said, so now you shared so many insulting words and things like offering a lunch. Too bad, I'm not going to accept that. So you have to take it by yourself. So that was it. And then he realized that he's the one good, the angry, and he's the one wrong here. So then he asked a very valuable question, which is, he asked, when we tell me one thing to overcome, to live peacefully, I need peace. See, even though he's angry, he wanted to understand the reality. So then Buddha said, knowing his mind, let go the envy. The only one thing is you need to let go the envy, anger, ill will, then you will sleep peacefully. From that moment onward, he understood the teachings. So likewise, not everyone come to see the Buddha to meditate. Sometimes argue and for some different reasons. So, but if they have knowledge, if they have wisdom, they understand what he is telling. So we have to be honest to see what creates suffering within ourselves. As a living being who feels suffering, so we comes to Buddha, we listen to Buddha's teachings to find a way to overcome from suffering. So even though I couldn't come to the last week and a week before, I think you all learned 5 aggregates and 6 sense faculties, how to contemplate on that. And last week we did a meditation program in American University for the students. There was a very, like, the students, they don't hold anything. They had very, the Q&A session was like insightful because they asked the questions without like holding even, because they don't have respect, special respect for a monk. And so it was a very open discussion and it was very interesting. I will share the recordings with you later. So let's dive into the sutta. So if you, okay, I will share the sutta if you, in case if you can't remember the whole thing, because we learned a lot. Dhammanupassana, the Kandapabba, Punacha param bhikkhave bhikkhu. You can read this part. Punacha param bhikkhave bhikkhu dhammesu dhammanupassī viherati panchasu pādāna khandesu katancha pana bhikkhave bhikkhu dhammesu dhammanupassī viherati pancha pādānaskandhesu ida bhikkhave bhikkhu iti rūpaṃ iti rūpassa samudayo iti rūpassa attangamo iti vedana iti vedanaya samudayo iti vedanassa attangamo iti saññāya samudayo iti saññāya attangamo iti saṅkhārassa samudayo iti saṅkhārassa attangamoti. So this is what the first part. So such is form, such is the origin of form, such is the ending of form. And such is the feeling, such is feeling, such is the origin of feeling, such is the ending of feeling. Such is the perception, such is the origin of perception, such is the ending of perception. And such is the, in here choices mean the sankhara, intention. So such are choices, such are the origin of choices, such are ending of choices. Such are consciousness, such are the origin of consciousness, such is the, okay, such is the origin of consciousness and such is the ending of the consciousness. So this seems like a small thing, but this contains the whole bunch of teaching. So to decrypt this, to understand this teaching, we need another sutta. This thing in the Samadhi Sutta, Samadhi Bhavana Sutta, Sanyutta Canon. For the 5 aggregates, we all know that our whole life can break into these 5 aggregates, which mean 4, which mean the rupa, and then the feelings on the vedana, the whatever the feelings arises, and then the perceptions, and then the volitional formations or the intentions. In here, Bhikkhu Sujato saying choices, the same what we talk about, and then the vijnana or the consciousness. So if someone joining for the first time, he may feel like little complicated, because we used to break usually our body, our life, like this is the body, this is the mind. So what we say the body is the same thing in here. Form means nothing else, but in the mind depend on the qualities of the different things. Like feelings means the what we feel, perception means literally like the idea what we feel in our heart, in our mind. And then the mind has that the action ability, that means to take an action, do an action. So that's what the sankhara means, that the consciousness means basically the consciousness. So without consciousness we can't do anything. So we have to understand, so this is form and this is the origin of form, this is the ending of form. So whenever it starts, to understand this, usually since we talk about form a lot, I will go to the feeling, so that the same way this all 5 can understand in the same way. I will go with an example in feelings. So we have to understand this is feeling, like such is feeling. Think that for some reason, okay, we may feel lust. We feel it as a feeling, a pleasant feeling. We may feel anger. We feel it as an unpleasant feeling. Sometimes with the delusion, that idea of permanent, that's how that the neutral feeling arises, it may arises. So since we need more mindfulness to learn about the neutral feeling, let's go to the feelings of the pleasant feeling or the unpleasant feeling, which means that the lust or the anger, where it arises. Let's talk about a little bit of the last thing, that you see a delicious, usually I talk about cake a lot, this time I will take a pizza then. You see a pizza, a delicious pizza. You feel hungry a lot. You missed your lunch and now it's night. So with that craving of your body, you feel that lust. And then when you're about to have that pizza, think that, okay, I should have this pizza, but before that, it's good to take a bath. So you go and take a bath. So while you're having the bath, your beloved dog misunderstood that this pizza is for me, and he used to eat it. Now you had an expectation, and then when you come back, you see that you don't have pizza, it's gone. So then you may feel anger. So that the feelings arise. So the feelings, whatever the feeling which arises, not because we ask them to arise. Feelings arises due to the contact. That's why different feelings arises in different reasons. So when reasons change, feelings change. So feelings arises, and not only those arises, not only those stay for some time, it fall apart. So it's the nature. But it takes time. No feeling fall apart because we want to. It has its own time and it has its own way of falling. So we do not have control over that. So since it has nature of rising and falling, but since we do not see that, we attach, the fetters arises. How does it happen? That's what we need to see within ourselves, called this samudaya, or the origin, which calls this origin of form, or the origin of feeling, origin of perception. And we need to see the origin and the ending. So rising and falling are different thing. Origin and ending are different thing. I will repeat again. Rising and falling are different thing. Origin and ending is a different thing. Rising and falling, when we talk about contact, it's the reason is due to the contact, it rises, and when contact fall apart, it falls. And when you say the origin and the ending means, when you say origin, there are three words. One is called abhinandati, abhivadati, ajjosaya tittati. This is the most important thing we need to see within ourselves. So, abhinandati, abhivadati, ajjosaya tittati. If we say it in English, let me check. I went through a good translation. Okay. Abhinandati means if it's better if you can note this down if you have a book or something. One delights in the object, maybe in the form or the feeling or the perception. Abhivadati means one welcomes it or approves of it. And ajjosaya tittati means one holds to it, adheres to it with attachment. Abhivadati means like approving and praising. Okay, the three things again. Abhinandati, delight it. Abhivadati, welcomes it and approves it. Ajjosaya tittati means one holds to it and adheres to it with an attachment. So then we do not have control over the feelings. So abhinandati means think that. Abhinandati means you're giving a kind of a value to that. That when you delight means not the thing that give sometimes. Okay, when you see the pizza, since you need to eat it, you're hungry a lot, and since you like it a lot, you give kind of a value to that, delight it. And then what will happen? One welcomes it and approves it. So when you give kind of a value to that, your mind keep on thinking on it. Then what happens? Your mind holds into it and adheres to it with the attachment. So think that you get an unpleasant feeling. Of course, you are not delighting it, but I mean, in there, but you give a value to that feeling. You believe that feeling, not just rising and falling. You just believing that story, what it feeling contains. Then you welcome that feeling and you welcome it, and you, in that way, your mind is glued to that. Ajjosaya tittati. And then what happens? So, ya vedanaya nandi tadupada. So when there is attachment, or nandi means that the pleasure or the delightfulness which it gets, because of that, your mind clings to it. When mind clings, upadana paccaya bhava. When your mind clings, that's where the bhava. We will discuss what is bhava when we learn the dependent origination. Bhava paccaya jati. This bhava is the reason for the birth. When there is birth, decaying, dying, and all the sufferings are there. So, all the sufferings existing, not because something else, all the sufferings existing because our mind attached to that. And there is a bhava. How mind attached? Not knowing these feelings and things arising and falling, but we have given a value and attachment has happened. So it's like this. Think that when you look around your room, there are things you have already given a value, and there are things you already have not given a value. As an example, you may have in your room some precious things you love and like a lot. Some pictures, maybe some different things. But it's just a form made out of 4 elements. In the same time, in your house, there may be fallen body hair or the dust, but you have not given a value. So for some reason, if you see that your precious thing missing, you feel unhappiness. If you see that body hair or the dust missing, probably you feel happy because someone has cleaned the house, but you don't feel unhappy or suffering. Why so? To something you have not attached, to something you have attached. So think that there is a Mm, uh, of course, you all may have a very clean and tidy house and room. Think that for some reason there is a insect in your house. Who would like to see that those sort of dirty things, dust or some things? Maybe he wants to have it, eat it, or it feels comfortable to that bug also. When we ask if we can talk with it, if we ask what is the most valuable thing, the jewelry in that box or the body hair or some dirty things, he probably say, oh, most valuable thing is that the thing you say dirty. It has given value to that. So likewise, the sufferings arises where our mind attached. So how it happens? Abhinandati, abhivadati, ajjosaya tittati, which means giving kind of a value or welcome that, actually the delight that. Then abhivadati, when we delight, the next thing eventually happens, that our thoughts arising based on that, approach that. Then what happens? Our mind stuck in that. So when that happens, when we have attachment, so it's like anger and the lust and the anger, it's like the same coin, but different side. We can't talk about anger without talking about the lust, because you feel angry because you have attached to something else. So likewise, that's how the sufferings creates in this world. So when you feel unpleasant feeling, of course you do not embrace it expecting enjoying that. Whenever unpleasant feeling arises, see your that gratification arises to see the end of this feeling. That's how our mind attach. Think that you have a problem, money or something else. It keep on popping in your mind because you want to see the end of that unpleasant feeling. So unpleasant feeling also has a gratification. That gratification is seeing the end of that feeling. Pleasant feeling has a gratification, which is lasting of that feeling. But both has the danger, that means rising and falling. And the unpleasant feeling also not have, we don't have control over that. But think that someone feels unpleasant feeling, and then that person see in the same time this feeling is not me or mine or myself, arising due to contact, and when contact is no longer there, it fall apart. And it's like he take it off from his focus, like it's none of my business. Then what will happen? It goes to background, and you can overcome from that. It's not of like hiding your problems or suppressing your problems. Finding a solution is one thing, worrying is another thing. If finding a solution and worrying are same thing, so all the people who have solution for their problems should be suffer when they meet a problem. But we see in this world, there are some people, they worry and try to find a solution. There are some people, they don't worry, but managing to find a solution. Okay, let's get back again to the teaching. So form, feeling, perception, or the volition of the consciousness. These things are the origin and what is the other word it says here? For the Attangam, it says origin and the ending of form, which means ending is a two different thing. Two different thing means one is delighting, welcoming, and attaching to that. In that way, the origin happen. That ending happen when you do not delight, when you do not welcome or keep on thinking on gratification side. And when your mind do not attach to that. So that's why we need to be mindful not to get attached. So, but in the world, if without this knowledge, if we ask someone to, hey, be aware, be mindful when you attach, they will say that this person, like, may sometimes may say that, okay, he's talking on nonsense or something. Why? Think that you get a gift. Someone gift you something. Everyone in this world say, wow, it's a happiness. But people who has knowledge in this, they see, that's not the happiness, but that's the gratification of there. But it has the danger. As we talked earlier, think that to a parent, their new baby born, and that baby, that child died in her 20. So they feel the suffering in 20. Shall we say 16, because we had the same experience here like 2 years ago. One of our devotees' daughter met a tragic accident. They both doctors, but they went through severe pain. So pain, they felt pain at 16, but that pain actually started. When was the day it actually started?
He was born.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shall we go more deeper than just saying the born? Actual reason?
Started when they knew that they are going to have a baby.
Correct. The day they delight, the day they welcomed, and then the day their mind attached. But there wasn't any clue it will be a suffering until we meet that. Yes, of course, we can complain to the one who, maybe the drunken driver or someone, but we are the one creating reasons to make ourselves unhappy, suffering in future without being mindful and attaching to things. So,
with that example or any similar situation, how could you not attach to a child or something that's good?
yeah. So in there, especially the way is seeing the gratification without without being like, we shouldn't be like stereotype and say, hey, it's the suffering. That's wrong. See the gratification, that the happiness, what is the actual, the amount of happiness which can possess from that attachment. It has this. And the same time, without ignoring, see the suffering it has. Third thing is cessation, or shall we say, the liberation, which means once my attachment is no longer there, the liberation fails. So understanding the whole three things in every condition thing, asa, the gratification, adinava, the danger side of that, nissarana, the liberation. So we need to learn and improve our knowledge in that. So sometimes, yes, of course, it's hard, but we may, since now we are not living in a small island, we live in a world where there are so many different traditions and cultures. As an example, if we see only any Asian culture, as parents, they are bond, attached a lot. They never give up their children at 18. They never give up. They never allow to take their own decisions to their children. Even they are in 50s, to be honest, I mean. So, like, that's how the bond is there. So to them, they feel like, okay, when someone saying that, okay, after 18, we are giving freedom to our children, they come at the Thanksgiving and they live in their own and their way. The people who knows only the Asian culture, they may say, what? How can they do that? But with having the same love and understanding, some cultures do that. So that means if we can go beyond the culture, if we can see the reality, like, yes, of course, I love my children and I love them to be the way I would like. But in reality, they all have their own life and then I can't control them, especially after the middle school. When they go to the high school, their brain change a lot. Since I have volunteered to our Buddhist college 2 years, and I have seen a huge difference between grade 6 and grade 9. Grade 6, they have so much of bond to the parents and so on. And I see that they at the grade 9 and after that most of the parents feel pain and suffering because the children are not happy. So answer is knowing that whatever the attachment will create suffering. So that vision, right view allows us to be mindful not to create clingings in future, and that mindfulness help us to let go the clingings in here. So there is no Tylenol or a small pill to just, okay, take this pill and you don't feel suffer. We have to go through the process. Okay. Right. With this, I think you all have a kind of idea like how in the Satipatthana, or the four foundation of the mindfulness, how we can see in that 5 aggregates way, which means wherever the suffer arises, there are 3 things happen. Abhinandati, abhivadati, ajyosayati. Delighted, welcomed, and you keep on thinking on that, then your mind attached to that. And in that way, that it's like a bond. Think that the gravity, we can't reject the gravity. We have to accept that. Likewise, that the upadana means like a force, like a power. That means even though we wish, we can't let it go. Like it keep on popping. So we can learn about the upadanas, or the clingings. There are 4 upadanas, or that clingings in dependent origination. So these teachings little by little improve your knowledge. And if you all have a clear understanding, I mean, kind of a clear understanding, we can go to the 6 sense faculties. Do you have any questions?
Bhante, when you said rising and falling, and
Right.
beginning and ending, they are 2 different things.
Correct.
Purpose of thinking, but it's not like we know why happiness or anger or anything comes because of contact.
Right.
What was the reason that you had to how should we think about this thing? Like, is it during meditation, or I'm trying to figure out
Yeah, so the samudaya and atthangama, or that the origin and the ending, you have to see where it arises.
How it arises? So what?
When it arises.
Mm-hmm. You mean arising, right?
Yes.
And then origin and ending is how it happens.
So in there, we need to improve the knowledge actually, so
Okay.
create the wisdom in ourselves.
Mm-hmm. When you said there are two different things, that's what I was trying to find.
Yeah,
Understand.
yes. The two different thing is that then in dependent origination, what we discussed here, it's more related to dependent origination. Because of this arises. Because of this arises. Likewise, how the suffering creates.
Yeah.
That the rising and falling means clearly the wisdom. Like, see, it also the cause and effect, but it teach the rising and falling in here, and not like a whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that this may be not the right similes. Think that we have a filament bulb and we see a same light coming, and someone saying that no, it has its own hertz, and when we have good improved observing tool other than our naked eye, we see that it's blinking the bulb. Why we need to see that? Think that when we see this the continuity of the light, think that that light creates suffering. Because of that light we see demons and everything. So if anyone want to overcome from that, the film which creates, so and that learning that when that light is there, that it create a projection, and that projection has these stories, but stories are fake, and learning that is another part, but this is blinking learning is another part. Did you understand what I'm saying?
Kind of, I think. I have to think a little bit more. Yeah. So it gives the second one, origin and ending, that gives us a kind of a full picture.
Yes, how this suffering, the world of suffering arises.
Yeah. Okay.
In there.
Thank you, Bante.
You're welcome. About the six sense faculties in there, okay, okay, this is it. I'm so worried about learning in English because in Sinhala language, there are a couple of similar words, but since these translations, because English translations are started in 1950s, so in here it says the sense fields. Sometimes you may heard six sense bases. Sometimes you may heard six sense faculties. It's like a disaster to try when someone tries to understand. So it's better to learn in the Pali term, so then you can. So one day, it's better if someone, even our group or someone else, I don't know whether someone already have created, with the Pali word and all the synonyms, there's English words which use, like, because Bhante Bhikkhu Bodhi use these words, and Bhante Sujata, those are the main translations available. So then they knows that, okay, everyone talking about this. Right. So in here, the Punacha param bhikkhave bhikkhu dhammesu dhammanupassee viharati. I'm reading this part. Katancha panna bhikkhave bhikkhu dhammesu dhammanupassee viharati. Chasu ajjatika bahiresu ayatanesu. Interior and the exterior sense field. Exterior sense field means whatever the sense which like the eye is the interior, eyesight is the exterior, ear is the interior, sound is the exterior. Likewise, that what it experience. And then either bhikkhave bhikkhu chakkuncha pajanati rupecha pajanati yancha tadubhayam patichuppajjati sanyojanam tancha pajanati yatacha anuppannassa sanyojanassa uppado hoti tancha pajanati yatacha uppannassa sanyojanassa pahanam hoti tancha pajanati yatacha pahinassa sanyojanassa aitin anuppado hoti tancha pajanati. It's when a mendicant, a monk, understand the eyesight, and the fetters that arises dependent on both of these. And how they understand how the fetters that has not arisen comes to arise. Okay, first, so this means the understanding eye and eyesight. It's the same thing, nothing special. And then the fetters arises both of these, which mean that due to the eye and eyesight, conscious arises, and it is a contact, and based on contact, feelings, perceptions, volitions arises, and when contacts fall, volition, perceptions fall apart. But with that, when that feelings arises, the tanha or the ego, based on tanha, the upadana, clingings, and the bhava, which means we will learn it to depend on origin, literally the suffering arises. If we go to the same story about that, the bulb story, how the whole suffering film creates. So because of this, and then understand how the fetters has not arisen comes to arises, which mean the fetters already arises one things, and fetters already have not arises, and they see that it arises in them. And when because of they see that when because of the knowledge and the visions, they see that the fetters comes to abundant. And then the last one is that how the abundant fetters comes not rise again in future. That means there is no fetters to rise in the future. So likewise, instead of representing I as me or mine or myself, see the problems, whatever the things arising in there because of I, and see and see it falls. Actually, in here it says this. Uppajjati sanyojanam tancha pajanati attach. Okay, first seeing that the fetter or the problem, and then seeing that unarised fetter when it rises, and whatever the rise when it falls, sees that, and if there is nothing to arise again, sees that. So I think that you are listening to someone else's story, like this happened, the tragic accident which we said. Someone had a beloved daughter and she met an accident, died. So we see it without taking it as our story. And we can go further and see, okay, how because of the eye, because of the ear, because of the nose, because of the tongue, because of the body and the mind, clingings arises and fetters are there, and fetters create the suffering. And if there is no the attachments in that way to these sense faculties, how it falls. Now forget about the others. See in your same life, in your own life, think that we are going through some sufferings. See it. Okay, think that you had a wonderful relationship with someone and suddenly you broke up. And then instead of taking it as personal thing, see that, okay, how I and eyesight created that fit. And because of that, how the sufferings arises. And then it may often comes to your mind, and instead of representing that as a personality, when it arises, see, oh, this is how the fetter arises, and this is how the suffering arises. and you do not give any value to that, and you see the rising and falling, they not happen. You have the problem, that problem, there's the reason to suffer arising, but you are not taking it as a personal thing. You are not framing it as you. You see it rising and falling. What happens next? You do not take problems belong to sense faculties as your problems, and you feel freedom from that. Then you can be the freedom instead of worrying with the sense faculties. Actually, all the problems in this world not belong to you or even to me. Those are the nature or the real problem, or those problems belong to I. And the ear, nose, tongue, body, and the mind. Just look around, even a billionaire, even a millionaire, even the most educated person, even a monk who let go or tries to let go everything. They all have their own problems arising due to the eye, due to the ear. Think that someone comes to that person and criticizing. Yes, they hear that. That problem belongs to ear. Someone lose the hair, like for they feel sick. Yes, that's a problem of the body. So none of this, any living being in this world going through fulfillment in the sense faculties. Just scan whole 8 billion in your through your wisdom. And if you want to see the news, see the, okay, today I'm watching the what are the sufferings which belong to 6 sense faculties, and see the world going through the sufferings, and see that listening you are using in your ears, and how that sufferings and all the problems now turning into your problems. So then one day you will really want to not to represent these sense faculties as you, but see the nature of them. I can bring a nice example for that. You know that in 2009, after we ordained, and we had like almost 2 years in monastic experience. That means that the whole monastic, which means we don't know any news, and we just going with following timetable and so that was the time. We know that in Sri Lanka civil war over, and we are so happy about that. We are so grateful those time to the president and to the general of the army. So we were so happy. So, and we knew only about that. But 2011, so since there were 100 or so monks, and sometimes there are not enough devotees to prepare the lunch room properly. So then, like small, like 4 groups or so monks, we used to go and prepare the lunch hall. It located in not in the hill, in the down. And when we go there and we do the cleaning and stuff, and until the other monks arrive, we stayed in one room. So in there was a newspaper, and because the newspapers are there, people use that newspapers to sometimes to cover things, like the wrap things. So then it shows that after 2 years, that the general and the Sri Lankan president angry with each other. They are separated, and they both running for the next president, and so it was like hard to believe that how that happens, because they ended up a 30 years civil war, and they both running as oppositions, and for the president and to be the president. So it was like, what? Wait, what? Will it be possible? But it already has happened. But think that if we keep on updated, all the news went through that 2 years, then we also going through that the suffering which the others usually having from their sixth sense faculties. Like the problems what you all know about the world now going on, because keep on knowing those things always creates suffering. We can do less and limited things for that. So it's better if you are not ready to move forward with confidence and happiness. It's better to restrain your sense faculties and control sense faculties from unwanted news and things. Right.
I do have a question. So I thought, so when you say it's better to restrict, you know, the senses if we're not quite ready, but then I think about accepting reality as it is. But if I'm limiting my senses, how can I really experience reality as it is and therefore accept it as it is?
Yeah, good question. So even though we exposed to all the things, it's limited experience. So we see not what, and we can't see everything. So what we are doing is we open ourselves to some media channels, maybe sometimes agendas, maybe to algorithm. So depends whether you can think that if you can be like a trash bin with no bottom. So if you can just let it go and have the freedom, then it's okay. If you all those things holding in yourself, in your mind, and if it keep on suffering, create sufferings, then it's not good. So you have to check whether am I okay and whether I feel inner peace and inner happiness while I'm opening myself to this outer world. So in there, that there are two things like one time there was another practitioner in Buddha's time, and he came to see the Buddha and saying that, okay, I'm following an enlightening path without hearing anything, seeing anything, and so that's how I follow. Then Buddha has replied, sometimes Buddha says things so direct, I mean, maybe knowing that person. So then in that way, the people who deaf and blind are the enlightened one in the way you are thinking. So Buddha clearly saying that it's wrong. So what we have to do is keep open our senses, but not to the defilements. See, if you are ready to experience things without falling into trap of defilements, until then it's good. And if you feel like, okay, this create anger, this loses my inner peace, it's better to take a step back and calm yourself.
I suppose I have a question that's related to some that I think have already been asked, but it's a thing that has popped up in my mind before. How do we, as we do this, how do we, or try to do it, how do we keep from becoming cold and disconnected and sort of not caring about anybody or anything, which makes us very almost like a machine. And it's certainly not something that we would want to do, or that nobody would want to be around us, and nobody, like, to take obvious examples, this could be anything, but to take obvious, easy examples, it would be things like relatives, family, friends, children, we'll say people. I mean, it could be anything, but the easiest examples would be the people around us, our loved ones. If we train ourselves to disconnect from them and stop feeling any sense of like love or affection for them, then that's not going to go very well, right? So how do we, and I don't think that that's the intention, but there's a very thin line. Um, and I'm kind of wondering what would your tips be for like I feel like it's kind of a thin, dangerous line. It would be very easy to understand the teachings in that way, to understand them as, oh, I just need to stop caring about anything. Because it could also be a job. If I stop caring about my job, then I lose my job. You know, like because I will stop. Or
Right.
if I stop caring about anything that I'm doing at all, then I might not even ever get out of bed. I won't go to work, I won't eat, I won't do anything, I won't keep myself clean, so I don't think that's the intention, but how do we avoid falling to the wrong side of that line?
Yeah, actually, that's a very good question. Thank you for bringing that. So it's in a with the discussion of the chaplains in the meetings. So one also brought that because there were so many, because everyone praising about meditation and mindfulness, and then one asked, hey, how do you get so many invitations and how do you get so many people to the programs? Then I said, I don't know. They ask and I go. They feel like it's quite like one how it happens, because to be honest, I'm not speaking English well, and my accent is little hard to them. But people keep on coming and they ask how, and then so since that, that sometimes in a discussions people want to balance that. That balance means that not to feel that someone or something what they are not practicing good. So then it said that, yeah, so one of my friend, he said that everything is suffering and he's following Buddhism, and so what if everything through the suffering, what we can see the happiness? So like that's a common misunderstanding that people say like what is the suffering? So because it comes with the literally meaning of the word. So answer for their question is, if you can read that the simile of the acrobat, which means one day, uh, acrobat and his student performing like one standing upon the other. No, a student holding a bamboo stick, and then teacher goes to the top and then do a jump on the bamboo pole and standing again in the bamboo. So then teacher saying, teacher, student, you should protect me and I will protect you. In this way, we both can earn the money. So then students saying that, no, teacher, I will protect myself and you protect yourself. In this way, we both can protect ourselves. So in there, when Buddha teaches, it says how to protect oneself by practicing the mindfulness, how it allows to protect the others, to help others, compassion. So if someone practicing mindfulness and Buddha's teaching, if they lose compassion, then they are not practicing what Buddha says. So it should have the compassion, love, and the kindness, understanding. So it gains that ability to put others' shoes and see the world and what others need and how others, it's like it gaining more compassion and loving kindness. So this is not like refraining in wrong way. So just move forward your life as lay devotees. What do they? They abstain from killing beings. Of course, if someone being with you because you kill animal, of course they may not like, but can't help in there. Abstaining from stealing. If he has to work for a robbers or a company like that, of course they may not happy, but can't help there. And cheating, of course, abstaining from that. Abstaining from drinking intoxicating drinks and drugs. lying and abstaining from lying and abstaining from drinking intoxicating drinks. Yeah, not drinking means you do not want to go and throw all the alcohol bottles in the house or when you're throwing a party. Hey, you shouldn't do that. It's not like that. You can be with them. You can have a Coke or whatever. You can be with them. We are doing this just to not to feel regret, and again to have an open and peaceful heart and mind within themselves. And this is not also like no one punish you. Little by little you can develop. Think that for someone who used to kill animals, and whenever mosquito bite, if they used to heat unintentionally, they will fall into that. But little by little, when their mindfulness improves, they can overcome from that. Same thing with the stealing, cheating, lying, and intoxicating. Because like how they improve their life, we have to do that. But that doesn't mean that they are not avoiding the connections with society. So one of the most beloved, like if you know about the Vishaka, she attained the first stage of the enlightenment when she was 17. She married at 16, so that is the age those days Indians married, was wealthy, and she had friends. They used to drink, but she never drinks. And she had friends, and she dances. And one day, while she had a so huge amount of wealth. So while she was going to a wedding, she had beautiful jewelry. You know that Indians usually wear so many jewelries, and that jewelry, starting from the head to toe. So with that jewelry, while she is going, she just got a message. One of the monk in the monastery is sick, and she wanted to go and check how monk is doing. So he went there and removed that jewelry and kept aside in the monastery and helped Bhante. And see that feeling others, taking care of others. And while she's going, her servant forgot to take that jewelry. Then what happened? When she's coming back, Bhante Ananda kept it aside, and she felt like, okay, if this monk touched this, I don't want to use this again. I want to sell this and make a monastery. That's how they made a monastery. So in that story also, you can see that they wore beautiful jewelries. Even she sing songs the day she offered that monastery to the monks. And she had so many friends. She had a life, usually the others. And one day she came to see the Buddha and complaining to the king. This king is not judging in the right way. The Buddha saying, so whoever going to see the justice will suffer, because this is the nature of them, and teaching them. So that means it's not like what people think without practicing, just seeing in the outside. But when it practice, it's all about improving the mindfulness, and then mindfulness little by little. Of course, when they experience inner peace and happiness, and one day, definitely, if they go to the high enlightenment, they, with the kindness and acceptance, they go to the more alone life. That's true, because they understand the delusion. But you can do it artificially, and if someone do it without loving kindness, and it's wrong and it's false. Okay, bring your palms together like this. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Today, we all learn about the four foundation of the mindfulness and acquired many merits, and let's share all this with all the divinely powers and with all private guardians, if there are to you, and with your past relatives and friends, and with our teacher, Pinat Loku Swamin Wahanse, and all the monastic monks, and with all of you and our wonderful volunteers. May you all be well, may you all be happy, and may your good wishes come true, and may you all able to understand the Four Noble Truths in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Abhivadana Silis Nichang Vada Pachayino Chataru Dhamma Vadanti Ayuvano Sukhang Balang Ayurarogya Sampatti Sagga Sampatti Mevacha Ato Nibbana Sampatti Minati Samichyatu. May you all have a long life, happy life, and healthy life. Carrie, would you mind chanting the Gatha?
Okasa Vandani Bante, Maya Katang Punyang Samina Anumodi Tabang, Samina Katang Punyang, Mai Hang Da Tabang,
Sadhu.
Sadhu Sadhu Anumodami, Okasa Dwatarena Katang Sabang, Achayang Kamatame Bante,
Kamami.
Okasa Kamami Bante, Dutiyampi Okasa Kamami Bante, Tatyampi Okasa Kamami Bante.
Sakya Nibbana Vacha.